All right. We will get started. Go ahead, Bear. What do we got going on this week?
It's icy,
Icy? Yeah, no kidding.
snowed. It's unfortunately already acting like last winter, where it never really snowed. It just snowed enough to make the roads nasty, and then it melts and freezes and melts and freezes, which means sand and more sand. So only phone calls we've really had has been just requests for sand, and we've been, Montana City's been out every day for over a week now, sanding every morning. So there's sand out there. I went and drove all the roads up north, especially the ones we had a lot of complaints and issues on, and you can see the layers of sand in the ice, and there's sand everywhere up there right now. But they're putting out as much as they can without wasting it. I mean, unfortunately, when it's icy, I mean, some of the roads I went on, I was 5-10 minutes behind the plow, and before traffic had even started, you could see where it was already blowing off the road from the traffic. And so they're doing what needs to be done up there. They're doing a good job. There's a few spots that I told them to hit a little bit harder because there was sand, but you still have some troubles, just some bad hills in the corners. But they're doing a real good job. They're out almost all day long the last few days sanding.
What's the part of the road? I think it's one gulch where they come off the hill and then they end up in the creek. You know what road that is? That comes from the lake up there, is it?
Oh, Corral Gulch?
Might be Corral. It's a steep road, comes down onto our road, then they end up in the creek because they don't, even when it's dry.
Yeah, when it's dry, yeah, it's Corral Gulch, is the one that goes up to Park Lake.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, and there was snow on it yesterday. It wasn't really slick right there.
Okay.
I mean, there was
I've
ice.
done some work on that, haven't you? I think.
Not us,
Oh, haven't you?
No.
Oh, okay.
not on Corral Gulch. That's Forest Service.
Oh, okay. That's,
They always talk about it, but we never.
yeah, I thought it was where they were going over the end of the road where we had
No.
on the county road, but no.
It's all speed related. If they would just drive the speed limit, it wouldn't be a problem. Slow down when it's slick, and
Are there houses up that far up?
well, you got a few up on Lump Gulch past there,
Okay.
but nothing.
Nothing on
There
Corral
is
or
nothing
there.
I know of on Corral. But we've never had anybody call and request for plows or sand or anything up there if there is any cabins.
Okay.
It's all just recreational traffic, hunters, kids out partying. Not really a big concern. Something we haven't had an issue with I haven't received any calls on it since I've been there.
It's usually in the summer that they fall off there.
Yeah. No, the only ones we've had, you can see there's a couple spots on that upper portion of the lot where guys were, they must have been hunters gawking at something, because you could see the tracks go to the edge of the road, like swerved over and then went off the road.
Hmm.
But it wasn't because of speed or ice or anything. That middle section above Travis, it wasn't, there's one, that first hill is pretty bad, and they were getting that sanded down pretty heavy, but after that, there's no need for sand. You can drive it pretty easy.
Yeah, if it stay cold or warm up enough to melt, one or the other would be nice.
Yeah, unfortunately, they didn't get the warm up like we did yesterday. I mean, it was 45 and white yesterday afternoon, but it was still only about 25 up there.
Yeah, it's been cold in Helena and warm here, one of those years.
Yep, but they've been out quite a bit, and we'll discuss later. We're going to look at it later. Just a request for more maintenance on Holmes Gulch, and then I received a letter on Ambush this morning. The guy thinks we can rebuild all the roads in the subdivision and stuff that's just not feasible.
You say Bush, the one up, that gets
River, all the water issues. We're definitely looking at ways to improve the road through there. It's been an ongoing conversation for a few years. It just comes down to the priorities and resources.
right.
Yeah, in Montana City, they've mostly been sanding. There's been a little bit of just cleanup and fixing a couple potholes. We did that one on Big Dipper yesterday, I believe. I think they did it yesterday. They were supposed to. Just person,
Big Dipper.
yeah.
Was that on our part of the road?
Yeah, it was on Big Dipper right there by that Evening Star intersection. They had started to fix it at one point, and then it must have ran out of asphalt and never got back to it. They kind of spaced it off, so they were gonna go finish it.
Okay, perfect.
Just kind of a little bit of perspective, we've been averaging about 40 to 45 yards of sand a day just in Montana City. It's about $1,200 a day. We can only buy about 2,000 yards of sand for a winter usually. So it's already looking like it's gonna be a bad year for sand usage. So luckily we have a little bit of stockpile left over from last year. Hopefully we'll be all right, but we'll see how it pans out as we get closer to a real winter.
So at 40 yards a day, $1,200 per day, that's $300 a yard. Is that
Not $20 a yard.
$20 a yard?
Or, I'm sorry, $20 a ton.
Okay,
And
so
it's about 1.37 tons per yard.
I'd have to do the math
Yeah.
on that. That seems expensive for, I guess that yards and tons are. two
Yeah,
different
so you're
metrics.
40 yards, you're roughly 50 ton, 55 ton. That's $20. Did the math on it.
Yeah, that seems a little high for per day for that much sand, but
Expensive,
It is.
go through a lot of it.
Let me,
especially if you're adding salt. to it.
maybe my calculator didn't like me this morning.
Yeah.
56 times 20, yeah, it's 1,125.
$1,125 a day.
Yeah,
Holy moly. How many times they gotta go back and forth today? So I was thinking of Travis Gulch, they ran out, they had to run back, man, that's a day.
Mhm. Yeah, it just depends on how bad it is. I mean, some of these roads were having put down twice of what we're normally putting down, so we're running out faster, so we gotta go back.
Right.
Sometimes we gotta go back in the afternoon and sand it, cause it's melting and freezing and we're blowing the sand off. We see, like McClellan, Jackson, your heavy traffic roads, within an hour, the sand's gone.
Right.
So we're having to hit them multiple times a day.
Yeah, no kidding.
Unfortunately for us, being in such a close proximity to Helena and seeing what the state's doing, residents are expecting us to do the same that the state's doing on the interstate.
Right, yeah.
It's not really feasible. We can't keep up with the cost that they're putting out to put sand down every 2 hours on a road. So we're trying to do the best we can, keeping it safe, and keep to reminding residents that they need to be responsible too and slow down and drive accordingly. I mean, when I'm out checking our roads, I drive not how I normally drive. I drive pretty aggressive to see how our residents are driving. And if I'm doing okay driving like a jerk, we shouldn't be having issues on the
Right.
roads, you know.
I think we've got a lot of new people that never driven
I
in snow.
think that's a big problem, yeah. And, like I said, our guys are doing a great job. I went out yesterday morning, was really impressed at how much, you could see the sand, but it wasn't like a wasteful amount. But it was doing the job. There was sand everywhere. They're hitting everything. They're not missing stuff. So we do have we're gonna work on some route changes possibly to hit certain areas a little quicker or to maybe hit one a little earlier. So when we're done with the route and coming back through, we can hit it again at a later time and just try to be a little more efficient with where we're running. We've played with the ideas of trying to find somewhere either in Clancy or Jefferson City where we could stage some sand with a backhoe where guys wouldn't have to come back quite as far to get more material, but that gets a little hard to find property and borrowing power to plug in equipment and.
Right, that's true.
Boulder guys did have to do a little bit of sanding last week and nothing much really nothing through the weekend or yesterday. Everything was pretty well bared off around here, but a little bit last week we had to get out and do, still working on our brush mitigation down the valley, and we had a bunch of slash and tree piles up High Ore and down Dry Creek from work earlier this summer that we went and got cleaned up yesterday. Whitehall guys, again, kind of just helping on the brush mitigation as well, and then doing a bunch of sign maintenance, fixing some signs. We've gone through a few weeks ago and made a list of a bunch of signs that were down or damaged or falling off a post or in bad spots, and they've just been going around cleaning that up while we've had a chance.
None of
They
them have
do
been
a
stolen, have they? Like they used to?
Oh, we always get some.
You get a few still? I mean.
They're gone. I don't know if they're stolen or if they
Oh,
fell off and
okay.
ran away.
Yeah,
with
we-
it.
A lot of signs stolen.
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't think we're getting as many, but there are always signs that disappear.
Mhm.
A lot of these, I mean, we've had There's some that were on trees that should be on posts.
Oh.
There's some that are covered by trees. They're just not real consistency throughout the county with some of our older signage that we're just going through and cleaning up because it make it look better and comply better with the regulations. So.
Someday we'll be able to embed like an air tag or something on those signs, the ones that constantly are gone.
You'd think with the technology, it might happen. Yeah,
That'd be fun to track them down after they got stolen.
Yeah, build it into the metal or
Mhm.
something, you know?
yeah. Well, we did find, it's been a couple of years ago, but we were notified by a deputy sheriff, but they'd seen some signs off the bank up at Long Gulch. And we went up there and it was about a pickup load of signs, but they were all from Missoula County.
Really?
Yeah.
They were just getting rid of them.
I think they knew they were gonna get in trouble or something and ditched them all off the side of the building. They did get up and do some greater work on Cedar Hills last week as well. I mean, there's still some pretty bad spots, but with the weather, there's not much we can do on them right now.
I mean, corduroy spots?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then just a couple other quick items, something we kind of were discussing, we quit bringing up, or keep forgetting to bring up, is out there at the Boulder Shop next to the Cottage 5 that's right there, next to our road shop. So as you know, there's tunnels, old tunnels underneath the concrete sidewalk there, and one of them's caved in right by the building. We've coned it off, but when we looked down in there to see what was going on, there's a tunnel that actually runs back towards our shop underneath the road. So we're probably gonna have to dig that out and backfill it before it caves in under a truck at some point, but there's no need for those tunnels. It's the old steam boiler tunnels out of the old school.
For the old school, huh?
Yeah,
All those buildings, yeah.
Wow.
that's kind of a nightmare out there because there's tunnels
That's
and
dangerous.
holes that, there's at least 3 places I know of where there's just a steel plate out
Fall
in
right
the
through
field
it.
where if that plate moved, you'd be in a hole. I put a grip loader tire in it one winter, trying to remove snow.
Man. Yeah, bad deal.
So some of that stuff that one is the only one I'm really worried about because the rest of it's not on the road shop property, but that one we're probably gonna have to dig out and backfill it before it caves in under a grader or a plow one day. But then some Schedule A updates. We're still working with Helena Forest on some revisions to a potential another Schedule A. I'm not sure how that's all gonna play out with them, just because they might not have a bunch of funding moving forward.
Yeah,
For roads.
which year?
Yeah. And then I think I'd mentioned, B-Bar-D Road Department with the Forest Service, they let a couple guys go this summer. And then they've since cut their budgets and said they are not rehiring those positions. So for this area, they're probably only gonna have 2 guys on their road crew moving forward. So he says there's a good chance that they just won't have the time to be involved in the Schedule A moving forward.
That's something we need to talk to our representatives about, Dane's and. It'll be she now, I guess, instead of.
What's her name is gonna be at in January, Parks Trails Recreation, what's her name that represents Dane's, our representative,
Eliza or?
Eliza,
I think
yeah,
so.
she's gonna be here. On that Monday night at 7,
Something
or 6:30.
probably need to talk to them
That
about
is
it.
a good idea to bring up.
It's tough enough to get, we do the roads that the Forest Service, we agreed to do for the Forest Service, but for them to do ours, it's sometimes like pulling teeth.
Yeah,
Now it's
pulling
gonna be
teeth.
impossible, I guess.
Yeah,
Yeah.
getting,
I mean, well,
getting down a lot.
the conversation I had with Jeremiah was a quick one, but it sounded like we might not even worry about doing a Schedule A just because they know they wouldn't be able to uphold their end of it.
Right, yeah, it's
We
unfortunate.
were never able to get them up to release this year like they kept telling us they would. They keep getting pulled off fires or other projects throughout the county. He says for the time being, he'll still have a full crew down in Deer Lodge, or not Deer Lodge, but Dillon and B-Red area, because they're not letting anybody go, but they're not looking at replacing people if they have vacancies right now. So
We may still have to do one, like, I'm thinking of roads that we do, that if we don't do at least once a year, then they're gonna fall apart and we're gonna hear about it anyway. Like Bear Gulch, we just hit that once in a while. I think we need to schedule A to touch it, don't we?
Yeah.
Even if there's no reciprocation.
well, I mean, you got Bear Gulch and Delmo, but how much of our county resources do we want to put into a Forest Service road when we don't have enough of ours?
True. Yep, I guess that's something we'll have to muddle through once we get to that point. Have to tell those folks up there that pots run dry on the Fed side.
Yeah, So if we can get something out of them, like Bear Gulch isn't a hard one for us to jump in and do. Delmo
Right.
is the hard one because
Yeah.
that takes a couple days and it's hard on the equipment. And, you know, Bear Gulch is one that
Just a zip in, zip out,
Yeah.
done, yeah.
it's not much to it. It's once a year if we really think if we're there and it really needs it. You know, we're not gonna hit it every year. We're not plowing it. We're not, unless we might do that first part if it was real bad. But
Right,
they understand that we're not responsible for it. We're doing it as a favor to help out. And
right.
that was not a big
Is that
deal.
right at Bernice?
Yeah. But, you know, look at Delmo where you've got, I think it's 10 miles of road and it's bad road.
Right. Yeah, they're probably gonna have to do something with that eventually.
Yeah, so. Nothing, I mean, lots of stuff always going on, but nothing really new to bring up. We got out and mapped a lot of our roads over the last 3 days with that new road guard system. We have training on it at 8 tomorrow, video training with the representatives from their company.
That's the equipment was installed in your pickup?
Yeah,
Road
that's the
guard?
one that senses the road conditions. It
Cool.
tells us how rough
Pretty
it is.
cool.
And, it's pretty neat to see when you pull up that report and, or that, go into their portal and it's alive, you know, everything you just drove is already up there and it tells you red, green, yellow and shows you all the potholes, the bumps, the cattle guards, the bridges.
It decides what a rough road is, or do you set that? Is that a metered thing or?
So I believe there's a way that we can adjust it, but it does a comparative. So far, it's a self-learning algorithm so far, and it adjusts on its own. So when the first day, I only had about an hour or so left in the day when they finished, so I just ran down Highway 69 and then came back up Lower Valley, Acquaintance, Upper Valley. So 69 was kind of in the yellow. And then all of our roads that I drove on, whether it was gravel or asphalt, was in the red. But then I got a few more roads into the system and it started to change that to where 69 was in the green and
Right,
things
so
were kind
you-
of looking a little better. So it's a comparative right now based off of what we're driving. But I put a lot of miles on the interstate going back and forth, and when our roads are still in the green after the hundreds of miles on the freeway, makes me feel pretty good about our roads.
Break it in, yeah, cool.
I mean, definitely, you can definitely see your bad spots. I mean, I can tell you right now, the 3 bad spots on Corbin that aren't, you know, only one was in the red. There was 2 that were kind of in the yellow. There's some stuff on Bump Gulch and Travis. It's definitely needs addressed and sheets or Cedar Hills, but in general, most of the roads are either in the green or into that yellow transition, but. And it does, it not just a defined red, yellow, green, it does like a shading variant of the color, so as it gets worse, it changes closer
Orange
to
and-
yellow and
yeah,
orange and red. So you can really look at it and compare.
That's
So I'm
cool.
gonna have to figure out how to, I might have to put a power switch on it though, or people are gonna go jump on there and see everywhere I drive.
And what was the cost on that?
It was $29.95 was the cost.
So do you want to do 1 or 2 more?
Eventually, but it'll probably be not this budget year.
It's cheap enough.
Yeah, if we have money come May, June that we need to spend, and we may buy another 1 or 2 that. We could get by with 1. The benefit of having more would just be able to get on more of our roads more frequently and have a more up-to-date database. But if we get a call of somebody complaining about a road being rough, we can pull it up. And if it's been within the last week we drove it, we can say, well, it's in the green other than 100 foot of potholes or washboard. Let's just go touch that instead of spending a whole day blading a road that doesn't need it.
And did you say it talked to your iWork system as well?
No,
It does not.
no, but I can download the GPS from
Oh,
it and like to provide data to Melissa. If we needed to update any of our road mapping, we can pull the GPS data off of it. And it monitors, so it's got 3-way access for any kind of vibration or movement. So vertical, horizontal, and longitudinal. It does speed limit, you know, so it knows how fast I'm driving all the time. It knows directions. It's got GPS
Very
antenna,
cool.
cellular antenna, because you start the truck and it turns on and it just automatically starts tracking and submitting data to the online portal. So there's nothing we have to do on that. So
Is that the one we bought from Europe or whatever?
yeah, came from Belgium.
Does it know what road it's on?
It doesn't know like road names and that, like, you know, it shows it on the map because it has a
Right.
base map system to it. And that's something I'm hoping to find tomorrow is can I go in and say, I don't want to rate these roads, or I don't want these roads included in our algorithm so that it's not comparing us to the freeway or whatnot, but we'll learn a lot more tomorrow, so. They just wanted us to get a few days worth of data, and I
think it's real
good.
cool.
I've
Yeah.
probably got 70% of our maintained roads mapped so far, so we'll have a good amount of data for them to look at. It'll be interesting.
Real neat.
How far did you put dust pods up the Whitetail Road, just that first part by Gilmer's there?
Well, so we did that first little bit by Donna's, just to that first corner past her driveway, but it was just what we had left in the tank one day, so it wasn't a real treatment. I mean, it helped. And then we did some on that steep hill before you get to the top when we were hauling material off there, because it kept blowing out every day. And so we put some up there. It's still washboardy, but it held up for quite a while.
Yeah, I was just up there yesterday and besides the washboards, it's usually sunk in here and just a mess up there, but it's solid. I mean, it's solid besides the washboards, it's in good shape.
Yeah, and that one too, it wasn't done really right. We put some in a tank as we were blading it out and kind of
Real
did
quickie.
it, just a quick job just to try and hold it together while we were hauling up there. And you could definitely see for about a month after that road held together really well. That hill, it blows up within a day after we graded it, so.
Yeah, I thought it was really good, besides the washboards that form on it.
Yeah, it's pretty rough right now, but
Yeah. I don't know if there's a way to scrape those washboards off there, if there's any of that dust pods under it, but that'd be beautiful. But the washboards actually slow people down, I think.
I do too.
Yeah. Turning
Well,
sideways.
you would think.
I would hope
We almost had an incident up there a week or so ago. Our guys were up doing some work, and they said the guy was probably doing 50, 60 miles an hour through there in a little car.
Yeah.
And almost hit him. And
Yeah,
that's the one that if you make that road at any kind of drivable condition, they're doing way over the speed limit on that road. You go to the south end where they improved it, and they're going 50, 60, 70 on that road,
Yeah.
35.
very true.
I'd like to get the state on board, because they're using dust pods now on a lot of their secondary routes. They did a big test up out of Forsyth, I believe it was, and they're really liking the product. So I think I'd like to try and push them to do at least that south half of the Whitetail that they improved, to bring the machine in and do it right.
Yeah,
Because we can't dust oil 10 miles of gravel, and that would help save all that gravel that they spent $3 million to put down.
true.
The rest of it, we could do some on it. I don't know how much, but we couldn't use the machine because of all the rock, but
I think you see if they could grind that section up and put it in right, like we did at Corbin, or
on the south half,
Yeah. really put all that good road material in. It held good for a couple of years, but
theoretically, it's roughly 10 miles. So you're about $4,800 for product. And then they could do that in maybe 2 weeks. So they'd be about 30, 40 grand in the machine. But if they can make it to where that road's holding up for a long time,
right.
it's a worthwhile investment. It would cost us 10 grand. I think was it 10 grand? No, it would have been 50, close to 50 grand to dust right out of Mac, that entire section.
Why do chip seal roads not hold up? Did the chips disappear? Or did the water get to it?
The chip seal itself, or the chip seal with the dust pods? Just a chip seal itself.
itself, yeah,
Traffic,
just get wear.
With water and weather and everything. And
So having a hard surface, which probably helped that chip seal last longer.
yeah, chip seal is never really intended to be put over gravel. And that's what a lot of ours is. But unless there's millings under it, it's just a double layer of chip seal over gravel, and it moves and it freezes and it gets hot and it's got traffic
Leaks
on
and-
it.
yeah.
It moves constantly. If it's over asphalt, you're not gonna have those issues. The asphalt underneath is still gonna get moisture and then freeze and make potholes and have issues, but it's a lot less versus what, like we saw on Corbin and some other roads. But, double shot chip seal is very popular, especially in the south, Florida, Georgia area, because they don't freeze. They don't get frost heaves. They don't get the moisture blowing the roads apart like we do. So it works really well on those roads that are flat and dry. But up here, it just doesn't hold up as well. And you gotta stay up on top. If you had a really good base and if we were to build a new road and put down the proper sub base and the proper aggregate for a, road surface and then put DOS pods in it and built it right, and then you chip seal it, I'd argue that road would hold up quite a while. That you'd still have to resurface or re-chip seal it every 7 years just to keep that surface good. But I'd argue that it would hold up really well. Probably as good as an asphalt road. But there's gonna be a lot of money to do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
The biggest
Yeah,
issues with roads comes from about a foot underneath the surface.
Just great potential in those dust pods, I think, great potential.
I'm still 50-50 on it, but I think it's more out of irritation with what we've experienced, not so much the products, but I think if it's done right and we had some more
Well, we'll learn how
experience
to
with
do
it, it would turn out.
We'll learn how to
fantastic.
do it right.
I think that project could have gone a lot different, but I'm a little concerned with some of the areas we did test on with just using a grader, didn't seem to hold up the way we were expecting them to. But then some other areas are holding up at least better than they were. So I'm still a little 50-50. I think it's a great product. I think there's definitely a use for it. I just don't know if our aggregate, our road surfaces just aren't conducive to it, or if we're not doing something that we should be doing. It's just still part of a learning experience.
Do you have the right roller equipment?
Yeah. It's kind of, we can always use better equipment, but
Yeah.
that part of, and I think that was some of the issue we've had on some of it is not using proper rolling technique. A lot of guys think a roller is you just jump on a roller and turn the vibrate on and go back and forth a whole bunch, and there's a science to using a compactor. And you got to roll dust pod material is a lot like asphalt, not like gravel. And it's been a struggle to get guys to get bad habits out of their head on that. So definitely a learning curve. I know Wayne was hoping to host a compaction training. And he was talking about possibly hosting one out of Boulder for counties to come out and actually learn some of the science and techniques to compaction. Because it's always the first machine a guy's put on whenever he gets into any kind of construction, and nobody ever tells him how to do it. There's the key, there's the lever, go do it. So unless you come out of an asphalt field, you never really learn how to run a compactor.
Lunchtime?
I gotta go wash my truck so it looks decent. for
Hey,
guys.
I'll see you there.
How's your?
No, 11:30.
Have you heard if you got any?
I haven't even asked Kelly. I know it closes on the 6th.
I'll pick you up in an hour.
I won't know until the 9th, so.
Okay,
Yeah, it's 10:30.
hopefully get some good applicants.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm hopeful. I think hopefully with the.
All righty.
able to
Yeah,
drop
see you
from
then.
Boulder
Yeah,
and
bye.
Helena area, we could get some better candidates. I do know I'm not gonna rush into hiring someone because the 3 guys can handle that up there for the most part. If we need to, we can move some guys around, but we really kind of want to wait and find good qualified candidates for this because we need some help up there.
Yeah. Does Buck live here in Boulder?
Yeah,
Okay,
well,
so they don't.
he
they don't-
lives down the valley.
Okay. So your 2 guys that work here don't want to switch over. Sometimes,
No,
yeah, that happens where you can switch them around a little bit, but you'll have
no.
to try to find somebody up north.
Yeah, I've got a couple guys that are interested, a few guys we've talked to, and how they pan out or how if they actually apply, we don't know, but we'll see what happens.
Good.
Then so we're meeting at Fire Hall at 3 today.
I will let you know.
Okay.
When we start wrapping up the meeting, I'll let you know we're just about done and then we can head up there.
Okay.
Or I can let you know.
We got a
when we're
pretty
leaving.
short.
Well, I'm gonna be up in the area anyways. I gotta
Oh,
grab
yeah.
some parts for Kyle and.
Okay, maybe I'll
do
just
some
let you
other
know
stuff.
when we're getting in our cars heading that way, then you'll
Yeah.
have 20 minutes to get to the fire.
Yeah, that'll be fine. If you give me a half hour, 45 minutes, just in case I'm in town, chasing
Okay.
parts or something, but
All right, maybe when we're wrapping up the meeting, it'll give you a few extra minutes.
Yeah.
We'll get done a little early today, I think.
Yeah, we don't have much on the agenda this afternoon, so it should be pretty good.
I gotta run over and rinse my truck off, so it looks better when you guys get in it. So hard to keep
Power
that
wash the
truck.
inside.
Inside's clean, other than sweep the floor out, but it's the outside, driving around all these roads with a little bit of muck on them.
Yeah,
We don't all have to jump in yours, I can drive mine up to.
So, either way, I mean, it's easy enough, so if we all go in one, we can have some good conversations about it and make sure we're all on the same page.
yeah.
And there's plenty of room, it's very spacious cab, so.
Good deal. You guys got anything else for Bear?
Not at all.
All right.
Okay.
Sounds good, Bear. Appreciate it. All is well. Keep the sand flowing.
So, yeah, yeah.